Okay, so soon it will be fine. Now we are on conductors. It will be fine, don't worry. If we had a real board is like, it's like plywood, it's like a cardboard. It is not cement, this is cement, but a cardboard would be easy to wrap because everything would be. This one, if I rub it the way I rubbed it several times, the black stuff will just peel off and then remain cement, which wouldn't be a good idea. So, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Last time, is Jeremy here already? So, yesterday we were able to state a few things about the conductors. Somebody, especially Big Fred, said that free electrons, too many of them. So I can say many free electrons. And we ended up saying that if we are to look at this equation here, then there is a relationship between the electric field intensity and the potential V, and we have already said that the electric field intensity inside would be zero because we have equal positive and equal negative charges inside the conductor. But even if you look at it from this perspective of this being carried by whether X or Y or Z, then if for E to be zero, what would be V? If we are saying that the inside of the conductor, the electric field intensity is zero. So if we took that as the case, that zero is equal to grad V, what nature would be V in order for this one to be zero? You would be differentiating a constant. It is when we are trying to differentiate a constant that then it will be. So that's the, even without running it, then you find that the potential inside the conductor, a perfect one, is constant. So on that note, we can now list or talk about the best properties of a perfect, basic properties of a perfect conductor. A perfect conductor may be considered as a material which contains an unlimited supply, of completely free charges. You aren't going to find any bound charges near, in the in or on the perfect conductor. Is it okay? Is the board okay, or you feel bad that it has patches? Soon it will be dry and I will not be seeing any dust. And my duster will be, although I have not dried up, it has not dried, I did not squeeze it nicely. Those who do petroleum, this is how oil is squeezed from the rocks. Huh? Using nature. So that's how the oil is squeezed out. These are the things I learned when I went abroad. That they don't buy these dusters which you spend money on hire suppliers. You supply these stupid things like as if it is a piece of cloth. This one here. Piece of cloth and some plastic. They have sponges. That's it. And you don't innovate. By now we will be having technology being the one doing this one. Because we have thieves, they want to supply. Then we have these many dusters here. So from this definition, or this description, from this, do you find definition comparable or description? Description. Okay. So we agree. From this description of a conductor, the best electrostatic properties. Best electrostatic properties of ideal conductors are as on the left, are as follows. See the left of the board. Don't write this in your notes. So the properties are A, the electric field intensity is equal to 0. This is inside the current. So when a conductor is placed in an external electric field, when a conductor is placed in an external field, electric field, that is. If we call this external electric field to be inert, charges of opposite sign, charges of opposite sign, charges of opposite signs, is it signs or sign? Shift to opposite, sides of the conductor. In such a way as to produce an electric field energy. So we have our conductor, and once we have the conductor, then we we place it in an external electric field. And once we put it in an external electric field, then charges will shift to the different sides, that is different charges of different signs or sign will shift to different sides of the current. No, that's not joy. So, I'm excited. I used to do this down there. So we have the current. So I'll just draw this for our current. And then when I do that, I place it in an external electric field. The electric field intensity E naught. Which side is positive, which side becomes negative of the current? What sign is here? Alloy. What sign gets attracted to this side of the current?
Negative.
Huh?
Negative.
Good. Of course, when this happens, automatically the other becomes positive. The reason is because what is producing the, that means we could have had a positive plate here, okay? And a negative plate here. That had resulted in this external field. So these positives of this plate would attract these negatives here, and these negatives on the plate would attract these positives here. So whenever you see an electric field being drawn, for example, when we were looking at the, soon we shall reach there, the equation of continuity, and then we are having the electric field lines going through our surface, open surface that is bound in a volume. Much as we are just drawing E like this, then know that it is coming from positive charges and going to negative charges. We did the same. I did explain the same when we were doing polarization. The ionic, the atomic, and the dipolar polarization. So this one is not part of our diagram, neither is this. So now we get an electric field intensity that develops, which is inside here. So now we get an electric field intensity from the positive to the negatives within the conductor after this influence, and let's call this one E. Just from 0 to 1. Nothing special about these two electric fields. So, if you only have these positive charges the other side and negative charges this side, and they have influenced the sides of the conductor to have the charges put there, that means what would be created inside would be depending on what you have placed as external. So that means that the only difference, okay, the only adjustment is that the E1 that results would be equal to minus, because it is opposing, it is tending to go in the opposite direction. But you can only create as many charges as the electric field intensity that came in existence. You can't have, if you had 20 positive charges here, you could only attract 20 negative charges here, and then of course the others, when you have 20 positive charges here, it's the same, these plates here we are connected to a battery. Yes, they are the same magnitude. That's what I'm explaining, that if I put a battery of 12 volts here, I will be having 12, assuming each volt is a plus, I'll be having 12 classes here, and the other negative terminal will be creating 12 negative charges here, and that's what will be attracted here, 12 of them, and that's what will be attracted this side, 12 of them, and that means whatever created it, created an equal amount of electric field intensity, but now in an opposite, because electric field intensity runs from positive to negative. So mathematically, inside this character, inside the character, then we will have the total electric field intensity, the total or effective electric field intensity, E will be given as the sum of these two intensities. So it will be the E1 plus the E naught. But the E naught equals, the E1 equals to, the E1 equals to minus, we are just trying to be mathematical, trying to be smart. So this will be equal to minus E naught plus E naught. If you are in a debt of 2 shillings and then someone gives you 2 shillings, you pay the debt and you remain broke. So this would be equal to, so we have successfully confirmed that there ain't any electric field intensity inside the canal. The second property, B, the charge density is equal to 0 inside the current. The moment you remove these two plates, the charges go back, the girls start to walk back, the boys unpocket, and then everything disappears. So you won't have any charge inside the conductor, so you won't have any charge density inside the conductor. But this follows from, that is logically, but this follows from Gauss's law. Gauss's law, that actually the divergence of electric field intensity is equal to the charge density over the permittivity of free space or the medium. So if you have no electric field intensity, you can't diverge nothing. So that means you are left with the charge density, volume charge density equal to the nothing times epsilon naught, which will be nothing. So the Gauss's law says that the divergence of the electric field intensity is equal to rho of epsilon naught. Now if, as we said in A, electric field intensity is equal to 0, inside the conductor, then so also is charge density. And there is still charge, still some charge around. But around where? This charge can only be there in imaginary way that there is equal positive and negative. It is virtual. When I make a party, that's when I see some of the ladies putting on lipstick. When I have made a party, they have been here with their dry lips, whatever. But when I make a party, when I announce a party, they put the lipstick. So the external electric field causes the separation of charges. And so there is charge around, but exactly as much plus charge or positive charge as minus. So the net charge, the net charge density in the media is 0. There is still charge around, but this charge is equal positive, equal negative. And that was established, if you remember, when I was using the example of when you get charged, either if it is 1, but if you are to do simultaneous charging of steel balls, when you bring that truck from Namagunga, so when they come to a mixed school, let me use 1, because this simultaneous charge will not bring out the idea. Anyone of you was in Namagunga?
Yes.
Fred? It's good practice. So this is the insulator. So you have equal positive and negative. So if at school, even here in class, I don't know who are the couples, I don't care. But when you are here, I normally see you normal. So it's normal until when, I've already said that, until when there is a bash somewhere. That's when the outfits come out. This used to happen at the socials at school when I was teaching in secondary. You don't know where these girls get the dresses, where they get the hairstyle. And I would look around because sometimes we also teachers would go and pull out some strokes. And as you are, yes, I have a photo. And that time I never used to take videos. I think if you see the photo, you see me trying to. I don't remember whether it wasn't their source. It was like either. I don't remember which occasion it was. But these girls were dressed in a strange way. I'm like, are these the ones I teach or what? And so they, when you have a mixed school like Makerere College, is it Makerere College or Makerere High? This one here. They are normal, they are okay, everything is okay. Now you bring a truck of the Gayaza girls who have come to play some netball. Those skimpy things. The boys will run, they are the ones who will be on the pitch first. And the girls will be like, these girls have come to beat us again. So they are like, they are really annoyed. So if Namagunga girls still around, if you took all the girls to clean the dormitory, since they are being careless, if you touch here, the electrons will go in the ground. And then when you remove, and these have gone to the ground, when the Namagunga girls go, then the boys now will start remembering that they can move around the compound and take life easy. So then you get a positively charged meridian. So there are enough, or there are as much plus charges has minus charges, so that when you look at the net charge, the thing seems to be neutral. It's like it is not having a charge. C, the third property. How do you like my magic? The third property is that if there is any chance that there could be any charge, if there could be any student in the school that is chaotic, these are the students who normally escape to go dancing or wherever they are going. So any net charge resides, any net charge resides on the surface. Surface of the current. This is where you find girls behind their dormitory. They are talking to the villagers who are passing. Hello! And that's the only place, that fence place, eh? That's the only place. That is the only place that it can be. So these girls will be stubborn to those villagers around, but when they come back to class in the school compound, then they pretend they are holy. I don't want to talk. Because they know the others are not going to jump into the fence. So they can be as stubborn to them, doing all sorts of provocative things. And then because of that this kind of analogy, the reason I'm bringing out this, I want you to start looking at things with all the knowledge you have gotten. That when you see E is equal to minus grad V, you don't just look at it and say any Coulombic, but if there is anything that happens to V, which is only constant anyway, because it is a scalar constant. But because you can't say, just because it is scalar constant, you can't say it is going to make zero because of differentiation. This differentiation here is basically an I, Kali by Kali X, J, Kali by Kali Y, and K, Kali by Kali. That's why it eventually becomes a vector that quantifies this other vector on electric field density. So you don't say, but he's saying it is a scalar, V is a scalar, and then there is differentiation. How do you differentiate a scalar? This one is a vector. Note it's right. It's a vector. D, V, the potential is constant throughout this spelling in the notes is not proper. Throughout the current. The throughout is through, then out. So, why are you laughing? Because when I'm teaching, sometimes I don't read things. You've seen that message which is written in reverse on social media. If you can read this message, it is written like this. If you can read this message, so after packing it up, it looks funny, but your eyes will read it properly. That's why me, I don't care about typo. You are chatting with somebody, and then when you type something, they are laughing at, am I in Zoom? You know what I was writing, eh? So for any 2 points, for if A and B are any 2 points, surface of the conductor, or at the surface of a given conductor, then the potential is the same as potential difference, which is VB minus VA, and we say that this is the same as minus integral from A to B, and then we have the E dot here, and we say this one is equal to 0. And hence, the potential VA is equal to VB. Thus, the surface of the conductor, when that happens, what do we conclude about the surface of the conductor? If at any 2 points of the conductor we have the same potential, because we have the potential difference being 0. So if we have the same potential across the whole surface of the conductor, what would be that surface called?
Potential surface.
Very good. So that's the surface. That's the surface of the conductor is always having the same co-equal potential, so is always an equipotential surface. And then the final one, E, is simply to show you that the electric field intensity will be normal to the surface. So E is perpendicular to the surface just outside the conductor. So when I say state the properties of a perfect conductor, I don't want to hear you saying it has unlimited amount of free charges. Did we talk about that? I want to hear you talk about how electric field intensity is 0. I want to hear you say potential is the same across the surface of the conductor as well as the inside. I want to hear you say the electric field intensity is perpendicular to the surface. I want to hear you say that the charge density will be 0 because you aren't having any electric field intensity. I want to hear you say what else have I talked about? If there will be any, if there are going to be any charge that exists, any net charge, then it will be only available on the surface. This nonsense of telling me it has many free, unlimited free charges, it conducts well, that is not at our level. But how does a conductor, before I move on to the rest of the stuff, how does a conductor behave in actual sense is explained by your solid state physics. if I got a nail or any piece of metal like an iron bar, and then I stick it in the is it a frame or flame? On the flame of fire. So if this is the flame of fire from how many schools have Bunsen burners? All meaning what? In Uganda, how many schools? So if I get a nail, and after getting a nail, I hold here. So what happens is that the fire will set the electrons in motion. The electrons will start moving. And this is where we did this experiment. If I did it with you, when you do like this, some of you try to chip your, all of you, I want to see you do this. Chip your palms together. What do you feel? Increase the speed. No, you are not doing, you are just making, I want you to chip, I want to hear that. So, Shira, you know what Shira is doing? It's like she's mixing lotion like there is the heat you feel. That heat is because moving the kinetic energy of this palm, when it meets this other palm here, it loses its kinetic energy, and that energy turns into heat and is felt by this one. When you, on the other hand, when you are doing this one also loses it. As fast as that, your body is able to pick it up. It is just, it has hit each other. And even when you are hammering, like the blacksmith, when you are hammering a metal, that means you are making the electrons to move. So first of all, electrons will start moving, and they don't care the motion. They don't, when you hit, they don't say, let me escape and move nicely. They move in a random motion, knocking each other. So they keep knocking each other, losing their kinetic energy, and this kinetic energy turns into heat. So eventually you start seeing the red hot part, and then you haven't felt anything, then you start feeling anything, maybe you look for something to hold with. If you insist, then some electrons will just start moving and they don't care where they were. So you start getting the thing melting and you start seeing things broken off. And then it just melts up, and that's how like copper is, that's how gold is made, preserved. You heat it up, and then it melts up, and then you get the molten stuff, and then put in a mold, and after putting in a mold, you make those blocks of gold. Because you have these electrons, it starts with the free electrons. These free electrons now kick out some, some are even reckless that they can knock some atoms. Then eventually the whole interstitial states are disorganized. And then they give way. They say, we are tired of holding you up. And then it melts up. That's how conduction happens. It starts with free electrons. Whether it is electricity, whether it is heat, that's how it happens. For heat, we did it in Bruce model. For electricity. For heat, it's the same. You disorganize, put in vibration. They start just moving randomly, hitting each other, losing their kinetic energy, turning into heat. That heat also causes another one to say, well, what are you doing? Then it also knocks another one. And then eventually the transportation goes up to where you are. You insist, then it melts off. But you just cram it. So the conduction the heat transfer by conduction, convection, radiation, that's it. But when you look at the solid state, in its sense of the interstitial sites, when you have, whether it is body center or whatever you call them, those electrons which are forming up the structure, the moment you disorganize them, they give way. Once they give way, then the thing breaks into pieces. When I get a metal and I start breaking it, I just need to do like this. Then as you are doing that, some electrons are like, but what are you doing? So as they try to move away, they knock each other. If you do it consistently and you put like it burns you up. Because the kinetic energy you are setting these electrons in, as you squeeze them to flip off the joint, then it turns into heat. And then you find that when you touch the thing that you are trying to bend, it is heating up. But do you care? No. Of course, you don't. When I was teaching senior twos, I remember teaching them about the vulnerable forces. And there's one woman who used to wash my things and she had spoiled all my shirts. So I washed them myself these days. You know what she used to do? No. She would get water, put my shirts, pour the detergent around, and then it starts to kunya. As if they have done any case to her. Then everything here, this old collar was good. The shirt everywhere is looking cool. Here, because the physics zero. You put a detergent in the water, you kill all the vulnerable bonds. When you are beating like this, you are removing all the vulnerable forces. Then the molecules remain hanging like this. So when you stick in the fabric, the molecules are able to enter into the fabric and then remove the dirt. But you cannot put clothes in the water, immediately power, spray the either nomium or then you start. It is, and the reason I say when I'm washing, I don't even feel anything. My hands have no problem because I do not do this. I just make the cloth, just make sure that it is just moving freely because I'm just allowing the water to get in and remove the dirt. But you find somebody's like, the dirt is not on the top. The dirt is in the middle of the fabric. The ladies. Yes. You don't do this. You do this comfortably. You just see, even if you have a white stuff, as you are just doing like, because when you put clothes in a washing machine, the washing machine doesn't do this. It just spins the stuff. So the water starts going in, and then eventually, that's why we get mutunda. Because the washing machine does not, you find you get mutunda and you think it is a new shirt. But this guy dressed it and just got tired. But for you, because you are, then this one is, you find it is laughing here. Anyone with a laughing shirt? Anyone of you with a laughing shirt here? You find it is smiling like this. So, yes. Because that's where even mine now should be dirty. This is where the dirt comes in, like me who puts on a tie. This is where it is dirty because it is more sticky to the body. We sweat around here, and that's where the dirt is. So, and that is where you want to remove the dirt. So, someone is trying to remove the dirt, and is squeezing, not squeezing, just rubbing the top together and thinks the dirt will get out. So the bottom line is you beat the, I don't know what they call it, you mix the detergent with water, break the vulnerable forces, put in the cloth, maybe overnight, so that the molecules go in. And then tomorrow they say it kills your if you use, I don't use detergent these days, I use Star soap, this white one. It's perfect. You just put twice and then the foam comes out. And everything is okay. I had like 5 shirts of this nature and they were all spoiled by this. this physics ignorant person. So any concern about conductors? Our role, my purpose of listing all this is eventually, and as you can see, it being rotating around this, rotating around this, rotating about this, and eventually, of course, for the net charge and whatever comes back to this, is because when we get into deep in the course, we shall be looking at the electromagnetic waves under the Maxwell's equation, and that's why so when we are transporting our signal in a wire, then we need to know the properties of the wire. But when we have a bunch of charges, what happens? If we have a bunch of charges and then they are together, we started with the superposition principle, looked at when there were discrete charges, looked at when they were continuous along the line, along the surface and along, within the given volume. But we need to now understand the energy of the collection of point charges. So if we are, when you are single, everything is okay. You can move in the house the way you want. Then when you get married, there are no problems still. You can still have freedom. Now, when you produce the first child, there are no hassle. Whatever you buy this child, everything is okay. True or false? If it is a girl and you buy a doll, she's happy with the doll you have bought. No problems. Now, that means to bring in the first child, no effort. Sometimes even you are not bothered. It's not planned sometimes. You are just, that's why when you marry, then you go for honeymoon. So as you are doing honeymoon, eventually you come with a child. So there is no energy for the firstborn, okay? Now when you, to get a secondborn, to get a secondborn, there are issues. Even before you get it, you are wondering whether, since you have a girl, you'll get a boy. If you had a boy, you are wondering whether you're going to get a girl.
Yes,
Then, etc. But that's not the issue. The issue is that you now have to plan. If you had a girl and you get a boy, that means now you have to buy car toys, water pistol toys. It changes. There is a lot of energy. And if you, I don't know that any one of you who is married with children. Women have their issues when you get a child. Now your love is divided, you know. When you have a small quarrel, you just go with the baby and start lifting the baby. It's like she's not there. So it becomes a problem. But that's not my problem. My problem is I am taking my children as charges. So to bring the first child, the firstborn, there is not a lot of effort. Sometimes even like your students here, you could have made a mistake and then you pregnant somebody and then now she's your wife. That's why you have to be careful. You pick the point. So the first charge, no energy. When you are, if I am to put the first charge on this table, now let me leave children alone. If I am to bring this charge here on the table like this, there is no hassle, no field around, nothing. I just bring my charge, put there. This charge stretches its electric field, remains around. Then if I'm to bring another second charge to the same point, if it was positive and I'm bringing a positive one, it will be repelling me. So I will look for where to put it nicely. Either I hold this one so that when I feel they are stable, that's when I can release them. If it is a negative charge and this was positive, then they will be attracted. So I still will struggle to make sure they don't neutralize this charge. So I have to make sure that I place them in a smart way so that their forces are there, but then I bring a third one, same struggle, depending on their polarities, positive or. Until when I have formed my family of charges, that then to get the energy, I will have to see the effect of individual charges. So a man is judged by how he manages his family, irrespective of whether they are only girls, only boys, or a mixture. So like the Hajjats, I'm trying to remember, is it Ashraf? Like Ashraf's family, you find they are like 40. And Hajj is still managing, saying you have to go to school. If you don't want, that is your problem. You can go and drive the other taxi if you don't want to go to school. And then eventually he gets all of them, each one. But his happiness or his comfort comes in from how he has managed the problems of each of his individual children. So if a man has educated his children, they have gotten married and they have businesses, you find the man smiling along the way. Did you see that man who was crying to the son? Who married the wife, and when the guy went there to ask for help, the woman chased him, said, "You are bothering us." And the man said, "I'm going to curse you. I cannot look after my child, and for you just coming to just chase me around like this." That one charge is the one disturbing. The one which is disturbing the heart. So the work done to assemble, a system of point charges, leave Ashraf alone. And if these charges are Q1, Q2, Q3 up to a bunch of them, up to Qn, it takes no work to bring in the first charge Q1. Since there is no electric field yet, so I can help you to, if I use the Haji's analogy. If a Haji is having one Haki, to bring in one Haki, there is no problem. Okay, to bring in the first wife, there is no problem. What she finds is what she enjoys. Whether you are in a musical, whether you have a small car, there is no problem. To bring a second one, much as it is allowed, you have to explain the first one. She will ask, "But what is wrong with me?" And you are too brown, I need the one with some chocolate. Or you have a huge nyash, I want a small one. So your hair is very short. Then you find her quarreling. I will get a wig.
Yeah.
So you argue. After arguing, the man goes and gets the other one. Is it called for? And then eventually, you concede. As the first wife, you concede, and then you agree whether she comes to the mansion, if you have a mansion, or whether she goes to somewhere else. And on the days that are hers. That is the second one. They are only four allowed, but that is only the second one. To bring a third one. You said you wanted the chocolate, I'm here. What do you want now? And then the other said, you two are told now I want the short one. I starts explaining, I need a short one, I don't want these tall boys and whatever, I want a short one. So do you see the work done? I'm trying to give you a perspective of the work you do when you now start wanting to bring the second charge, compared when you are bringing, while you are trying to assemble a system of point charges. It takes no work to bring the first one. Even if she came at your shop, if you are a RG, and then as she was looking at the phone, you are like, you can take it for free, and then tomorrow she comes back and then it starts from there. There is no effort. The second one, you have to explain. The third one, you explain. The fourth one, then you agree. This is the last one. So and if you think that is far-fetched, if you were to go to a party and you are the first one to reach the party and you find the DJs, you are free, there is no hassle, you don't feel any stress. You can reach there and ask them, is the selection going to be nice today? Now, if you were the second person to enter the room, or the third, or the fifth, and you had just put on your nice outfit, and then when you reach the entrance like this, you see people shining, and all the confidence just goes. Now you're okay. Then you are like, people are already sitting now, you are like, where will I sit? You look around and you walk, even you are almost going to fall off. So you walk, you don't even look at somebody, your eyes are looking, but you are not looking at somebody. You are just walking when you are looking there because of the tension. But if you are the first one, that's why for me, when I'm going for anything, I am always the first one. I make sure I am the one to make sure I don't want stress. So others will find me when I'm seated. Even here in the morning, most of the time you find I'm the one who was here. When you're opening, I'm here because I don't want to suffer from this energy of assembling the charges. To bring in a second one, Q2, an amount of work, W2 should be equal to the, so work done is equal to the QV, if you remember. So now we are having the Q, which is what you are bringing, times the V that you found around. So it would be the same as Q2, which you are bringing, then V. And this is at that point, at point P2, the point where the P2 will point to. So where V1, is the electric potential, due to the charge you brought first, the Q1, and the P2 is the position and P2 is the position where Q2 is placed. Thus, if we substitute for the V1, W2 will be Q2. What is the definition of potential? 1/4πε0, the charge over the distance from where the electric field energy is being felt. So we shall take the K for 1/4πε0, Q1 over R, then 1 to 2. And then we shall call this one equation 1 for purposes of following up our equations. Okay, now that I have explained almost everything, I can walk through where R12 is the distance between charges Q1 and Q2, and the constant K is equal to 1/4πε0. Of course, that was the second charge. So to bring the third charge, Q3, the amount of work done, W3 would be the same as the charge Q3, and then the potential due to charges 1 and 2 at position P3, where V12 is the electric potential due to charges Q1 and Q2 that the Q3 is finding in existence, respectively. We can express this diagrammatically. Diagrammatically, I can express these three charges we have if we can just take the three of them so far, so that we have Q1, Q2, distances are R12, R13, R23. So our Q3, our W3 thus the work done to bring in the third charge will be the same as Q3, and then we have the K inu, the two potentials, which will be potential due to the charge Q1, this is over R1 3 plus Q2 over R2 3. This is equation 2. Equation 1 was the one for W2 being the same as Q2, Q1, KQ1 over R1. This is our equation 1. So we have now W3, Q3, K inu, Q1 over R1 3 plus Q2 over R2. This is our second equation. Similarly, to bring a fourth one, the fourth hat, the last wife, you now do work done, you do the work, you convince the first one. Say, is it because I'm not producing bodies? You convince the second one. Is it because I'm too fat? You convince the third one. Is it because I have a flat behind? Until when you are agreed. And then you bring the what? The fourth one. And you agree that it is the last one. So similarly, to bring Q4 in a region, in a family where you already have wife 1, wife 2, and wife 3. Where charges Q1, Q2, and Q3 are already existing, then the work done is W4 is equal to Q4K inu Q1 over R14 plus Q2 over R24 plus the third one, Q3 over R34. And this one gives us the third equation. In the notes I used the numerals. So in this case of the 4 of them, we can express it diagrammatically as this, then having the crossing here. So we can have Q1 here, Q2 here, Q3, Q4 here, Q3 here. And the distances are R1, 3, R3, 4, R14, R12, R24. The subscripts are just to show you from which charge to which charge are you moving or are you pointing. So the total, the family DC, the TC, the family, that's the total work done to assemble, the total work done to assemble the first 4 charges, will be W is equal to the sum of all the work done. W1 plus W2. Sorry, did we have W1? We don't have any work done due to the first charge. Then plus W. Is it 4 or 3? 4. 2, 3, 4. For the second charge is when we started doing work. The third charge we did work against 1 and 2. It is against the electric field presented by these other charges. So I don't want you to take it. So we have this one equal to W2 was Q2 K, so we have Q2 K, Q1, so we have K outside, and then we start adding up. So we have Q1, Q2 over R1 plus Q1, Q3, Q2, Q3, Q1, Q3 over R13 plus Q2, Q3 over R2, then plus the other one there, which will be Q1, Q4 over R14 plus Q2, Q4 over R24 plus Q3, Q4 over R3, 4. We don't have Q4. You cannot, the same charge cannot have a force on itself. That is crazy. So this is for the 4 of them. If we had for those judges who want to even hide the other ones, after the official 4, then they hide some somewhere. When they lie that they are going to Aisha, you don't even Sauda doesn't know. All of the 4, do they call each other? Is it true that he's at your place? I don't know. So if you are to have any charges assembled together, beyond these just 4, beyond these 3 we are apart, beyond 4, then we say that assemble a system to be like a Muswati, to assemble a system of endpoint charges, the work done is W equaling, we start from W2, then for the third charge, the fourth charge, This one we have been having so on and so on until when we bring in the nth charge. And then now we substitute. And we only need to add the other plus Q. We shall have a Q1, Qn, Q2, Qn, Q3, Qn, then Q4, Qn, etc. So the work done will be the same as K, then 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, in. So we have Q1, Q2 for the V1, Q1, Q2 over R1, 2 plus Q1, Q3 over R1, 3 plus Q2. Okay, let's start the first finish Q1, Q1, Q2, Q1, Q3, Q1, Q4 over R1, 4 plus for the Q1, okay, plus, so this will be Q1, Qn over R1n, and then we add on for the Q2s. So we have the Q2, Q3, Q2, Q3 over R2, 3 plus Q2, Q4 over R2, 4 plus Q2, Qn over R2n plus, you could do the one over Q3, Q4, and then, but we don't have all that time to continue doing this. We can summarize it mathematically, and since there is some special likeliness of this, then we can say that this is the summation since we are adding them up, then we can utilize the summation and say that the work done is the same as a half into K, the 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, summation I equal to 1 up to n. I don't know whether, are you comfortable with this n when we have this one? So I don't know in the notes why you use the capital N that we have for consistency. Or you can use the small n. If you don't want to change a lot of things here, you can use this one as a small n. I want you to have flexibility. So, do we use a small or big? Small. Small. Somebody says small. First come, first serve. So, this should be, maybe now I can write a textbook. Okay, I can write these lecture notes in something, in a textbook, so that I can rectify everything from these notes and have a nice book. And also document my TWINAMASIKO theory. So this would be up to small n, summation j equal to 1 up to n, and then here, if these are i's, then these ones become the j's. So we have, so we will have the qi, qj over ri, j. But we can never have a same charge experiencing its own field. And why do we bring in a half? The reason we bring in a half is to eliminate that issue of doubling, of thinking that if I is equal to J. So we bring in a half to make sure that we never count two charges twice. Where the factor of a half, this half here, where the factor of a half is included so that as not to count each part. Yes? Oh, we charge it twice. I've forgotten something. Yes, which one? J is beginning from? We are bringing in a once we say that I is never equal to J, it doesn't matter whether we start from 1. That means if we ever have that one there, then the other one cannot be 1. So that's where the idea is. Okay. So we bring in the half so that we never count anything twice. Therefore, the work done would be equal to a half into the summation Qi, and then into the summation J equal to 1 up to N, and then we have a K Qj over Rij. And then this one here is actually the potential at a point, at a position Pi. Because it is this Qj which is experiencing this charge Qi field. So we can now write a shorter expression and this short expression is that the work done is equal to a half summation I equal to 1 up to N, then Qi, and now this whole thing has become the potential at position Pi, so which is V Pi. Now, this is for discrete charges. For continuous distribution of charges, so this is for discrete charges, a system of countable charges. For continuous distribution of charge, for a continuous distribution of charge, there is the rho, of charge there is the rho, then the work done, W would be the same as the half, not to count points twice, integrating over the volume tau, and then we have the rho V tau. times there, but we write it nicely like this to make it look beautiful. So if any work done due to continuous distribution of charge is the same as the half integral over the volume tau. Remember I told you, if you want to write tau, write a T and rub off the top. But don't be fake to rub it after, rub it in your head. And this is called the electrostatic. This is called the electrostatic energy. Now that we know some electrostatic energy, we can try out a few things to make sure that we get it, or we get it in a more palatable manner. And in that scenario, we go back to Gauss's law. Because anytime we have a distribution of charge, we can know more about this distribution of charge, especially the electric field intensity, by making sure that we isolate that electric field intensity and isolate it using a very uniform befitting surface, which is the Gaussian surface, spherical to this charge distribution. And the moment we know the electric field intensity, we get a lot of stuff. We can get the potential, we can get the capacitance, we can get the work done like we're going to see. And so electric field intensity is a big deal to us. Normally, come and sit here forever. Here. From Gauss's law, the divergence of E is equal to rho. You can get a nice chair, a small one, and sit ever on the corner shop there. Is where I want to see you every day I come home. I mean, every man on Tuesdays there. So you can go get a seat. There is a chair here, very nice one.
And you sit on the floor.
Rho of epsilon naught. And this, if we can make rho the subject, then it can be the same as epsilon naught in with the divergence of E. So this would imply that. So we can substitute for the charge density here from Gauss's law. So this would imply that the work done is the same as the epsilon naught over 2, because the rho, so we have put this. Then we integrate over the volume tau, and then we have the V in divergence of E, and then the tau. Consider the vector identity. Consider the vector identity. The vector identities are in way. I don't know whether I have activated that week. If I haven't, they are in the book. I think on one of the either last pages or first pages. So the vector identity we are going to use is if we take the divergence of the product of a vector and a scalar, then this would be the same as the scalar in the divergence of the vector, and then we add on the vector direct with the gradient of the scalar. On the other hand, we already know that the electric field intensity is the same as minus grad V. can say that, the grad V, this is the one which is dominantly featured in here. Grad V is equal to minus E. Now, when we are now equipped with this, and we are now having this expression, so we can substitute for this, that V, this now V in divergence of E now becomes divergence of EV minus E dot grad V. The identity is a vector identity. I have nothing to do with it. It was done, it was proved, and mere use. I've enjoyed today. No, that's nothing. So thus we can now substitute for the work done in the work done. So thus the work done will be the same as epsilon r over 2. Epsilon r over 2. Then we have integral. So one of the integrals. So this is what is in the expression here, but it is equal to this minus this. So it will be divergence of EV, the tau over the volume tau, and then take away this other one here, which is the epsilon naught over 2 integral over tau, and then I have E dot the grad V. So this will be E dot grad V, and we are integrating over the volume tau. We already said that this E here, this grad V is the same as minus, and by TWINAMASIKO's Benon theorem, we can change this one into the surface. So applying TWINAMASIKO's, you can argue, this is my course, applying TWINAMASIKO's Benon theorem, gives, so it ends up with the work done being the same as epsilon r over 2 integral over. So now we change, this is well, I don't know, is it TWINAMASIKO Benon theorem is either way, as long as you are changing from the surface to the volume or volume 2, from a line to a surface or surface to line in Stokes theorem. I've never bothered to think about Stokes. I'm comfortable with this Benon theorem. So then we have the V, this one now will be the vector times the, dotted with the surface. So it will be the vector is this one here, the EV, and then dot ds over the surface S, then we put in here minus E, so it becomes a plus integral over the volume tau, and then we have an E dot and E dot A. And then we are still having this one being the tau. Take the surface S, to be a spherical surface, large radius of a very large radius, and noting that the electric potential varies as below. The electric potential varies as below. So if the electric potential is varying, we know potential is Q over R, okay?
Yes.
Times the K. And we know that the electric field intensity varies as 1 over R squared. And we know that this ds here is an area, and area is length times, which becomes R squared. Even if you were to put it, the expression for the surface area of a sphere. I know the first time I wetted this blackboard somewhere, how are we going to study with this board here? With dark patches everywhere, with the duster that is wet. Huh? You did what?
She was going to bring the project.
You were going to bring a projector?
Yesterday, they asked me to sign the project.
Yeah, so you thought I was going to come with the projector? A projector is for lazy people. I want to do exercise. This is the only time I get to do exercise. Move around, chop scratch the board. The projector stand here and I start saying, that is W. I don't mind, I can't manage that stuff. Then you could as well go on YouTube and watch water level. So, we see that if that happens, this is 1 over R squared, okay? This is 1 over R. This is R squared. Meaning that this whole expression here would be varying as 1 over R. And if you have R being large, if you are considering a sphere of very large radius, what happens eventually? What happens to this expression that is having 1 over R eventually is reducing to 1 over R, 1 over large radius? What would it be equal to? You are dividing one sweet to very many people. They just eat a bit, so it's like they have got nothing. So you didn't hear of a story where people, these stupid stories online, whereby if you fail the question, you give me $10, like that. So the man asked the kid, how many people did Jesus feed? 5,000, of course. So the kid said, okay. And then it was now the time for the kid to ask. The kid said, what were the names? What were the names of the people that Jesus fed? So the kid won and took the money. So we see that, yes, we see that you see that this whole stuff goes to 0, and then we remain with, sorry, this one is supposed to be having epsilon naught over 2. So we remain with half. So we see that the VE dot ds varies as 1 over r after substituting for all of these other 3 ones, which tends to 0, as r becomes larger and larger. Hence, did you find out the whence? The work done is equal to epsilon naught over 2 integral over the tau. So since we don't want to limit ourselves, we say all space, and then we have E squared tau. So now we know the work done. As long as we know the electric field density, of course the permittivity of free space, then we can get the electric field, the work done, and we can use this analogy to do some examples. So I have only 8 minutes, and I have, well, it is one example, and this energy here, this work done, which is energy, is not elaborate, because I'm not bringing the charges to a definitive location. Like I say, 2 meters, I'm putting another one, 3 meters, another one. I am placing them at R12, R13, R24, so I can have charges here which are dispersed unequally. So I cannot rely on this energy. I need to get what we call the energy density. And it really gets worse if I am dealing with the other case of when you have a continuous distribution of charge, where we started from, the rho v, the tau. So you cannot say that in this volume all charges are this distance. It's a rugged volume. I can have my charges in this volume here, and when I have my charges in here, I cannot say that the charges in the corner here are equal to the one in the center, the ones on somewhere here. Probably because of corona discharge, there could be too many here at sharp points. I don't know why the charges are more on sharp points. You know any sharp points which have a lot of charge? Corona discharge. So if that is the case, then I have to only concentrate on the energy density, because I'm not sure how these charges are being distributed in a given charge distribution, especially if I'm considering a continuous distribution of charge. So, but before we go to the energy density, I can use these 6 minutes to do some example of how we can use this to find the energy or the work done due to an electric field, and we shall do the one of a shell, a spherical shell. A spherical shell is like a football, not the football somebody used to make of Cabrera. And maybe I should make a machine that makes Cabrera balls, so that all Vela are sold to me. Then I make balls and I send them to school. We would get those in the village. That means we are recycling. You get many Vela, then you get this Saiso or whatever. How do they call them? These nice nylon threads. Then you make. But that ball, if you kick it when it is muddy, and of course you are in feet. That's why some of us used to refuse to wash our feet, so that you get that rough skin, so that you are strong. You find somebody's feet, Somebody's feet, You find somebody's feet, they have you find somebody's foot, has like some nice mathematics
Skills.
skills like this. You find that, and because if you were always going through that morning dew, if you are moving in that morning dew, you find the whole thing. Then there are those who used to have these things here. The guy, if you are playing football and his leg is on your foot,
That one could say euros.
that comes out immediately.
Yes, I'm Afro.
So it is interesting how some of us grew up. And now that we are mature, when some of you see me smooth, you don't know that I used to slide on a hill on a banana, this banana stem. You get the banana stem, then you get a big stick put there. You hold. If you are sliding and then it, and sometimes, and you go home when your butt is now naked, and you have to explain, or you get a wrong sweater, you cover. Everything is okay. Until when you forget you are scratching yourself and then the thing slides up. What happened to the short? So, go through example. Go through example 1. No, this is not 1 or whatever. Where notes. Page 34. I did anything a village boy could do. Of recent, I redid something I used to do in the village. Some of you don't know. I made this, we get crumbs of soil and then make an oven. And then you use firewood, you burn up the crumbs, they get red hot, and then you put in sweet potatoes. Or Irish potatoes. This time I want to add sweet potatoes. And when you eat them, you never eat anything from home again. I'll share with you a video.
What about riding bicycles from trees?
What?
Those bicycles, maybe
It's not a bicycle, it is a motorcycle, it's a diggy. Which bicycle? You take that one, but you risk breaking your leg. So I'm done. We see each other on